Please open your pandas file that we have started yesterday. All the participants are requested to kindly open your previous day file. Now let us reconnect here. Runtime and run all. So class, just open all these things. We will be starting off with. Let us start about how to read the Excel file details. So when you see that this is your movies underscore df dot head and df dot tail, these are the values which is available to us, the top 5 values. Now I'm gonna write here about the stock data. In which we will discuss how to read an Excel file. Let us read an Excel file here. Let me just take the GitHub. I'll give you the path from the GitHub again.
And please share the link of Sniper tool also.
All right, here is my Excel file. In the snippet, I will add it. This is your today's work starting off. The same link that I have used yesterday, I'm using the same link. The snippet link is same. So let's get it started with our Panda section. So, all right, wait a second. Let me just copy this URL. Now, please pay attention here, class. There is one important thing that you will learn. So leave your work and please pay attention. Display stock underscore data. No, there is a problem here when we read our Excel file. When we talk about the, when we say that we need to read an Excel file, that's how it starts. Here is your URL link that we have taken. And to display it, we are using simple. But the point is when we are displaying it, this is not exactly what is giving us the column name. Correct? Can you see it? That's not the column name. That's where the problem. In the earlier case, when we read the data, like yesterday, we just provided one attribute and that was separated by comma. In Excel file, we know that they are not separated by comma. And here in this case, all your column names are available as it is, as it was earlier. Let us provide here header equals to 1. Let's start reading up. Header equals to 1. So you can see that this is your, that's what you need to write when your header is not at the 0 position. By default, the header position is 0. And this is my header position, which is equals to 1. That's how we are displaying the data. All of you start doing it and confirm me on the chat window if you have finished with this part and understood it as well. What is the meaning of header? So you can control which will be the column name by the help of header. Suppose if I'll write header equals to 2, then what will happen? This particular value will become the column name. I'll show you, see. That's what it is. So you need to control it by the help of header equals to 1, because header equals to 0 is your default setting. If your headers are not available at 0 position, then definitely you need to do it at header equals to 1. With 536 rows and 10 columns, that's how the values are displayed. Movies underscore df dot is null function true and false for missing value. So as you can see that we are using a new function that is called as is null. Is null dot okay, so we have taken a data frame name, and data frame name dot is null we are taking. When we are taking data frame dot is null name, what you can see that it is returning you true and false. It will return you true and false. False will mean that there is no missing value, and true means there are missing sets. There are missing values in the data set. Class able to hear me clearly?
Able to hear, but I am not understanding what are you doing?
Sorry? This is part of pandas, no? We are using pandas topic.
So can we do here in our sniffer while you are doing? Or you expect me to write down what you write?
No, this part I think I have not pasted, so you can just, it was a single line, so I think I forgot to add. I will keep on pasting, no problem. Yes, we are checking here. Yes, that is correct. Somebody's mic is on, please turn it off, please. Yeah. So in this case, we are checking whether my data frame does have any missing value or not. So what I said, class, that if it returns true, that means there are missing values. And if there are false, then there are no missing values. So wherever you are seeing all these false values, that means at that position, there is no null value. Remember yesterday we talked about null or nan. A lot we talked about nan, right? So similarly, next part. So in the next section, we will carry forward the same equation. Returns sum of total missing values movies underscore df dot isnal dot sum. We're taking here movies underscore df dot isnal dot sum. This returns all zeros. If there will be a missing value in any of the column, okay, column wise it will calculate. If in spite of 0, it is like 1, 2, or 10, 11, 20, 200, whatever the number is come, that will mean that that much missing values are present in your data set. Okay. So movies underscore df dot isnal dot sum returns the sum of total missing value. That means how many rows are missing in E1, and false means 0. So likewise, it will basically give you sum of all the rows, sorry, a count of rows missing in for every column. That is the meaning of that. So if it is coming up 1, that means 1 row is missing in the film. Let's say here comes 1. So in that, it will mean that 1 row is missing in film column, in column film. So the value here indicates that there are no missing value in this case, as they're all 0.
Okay, okay.
Sir, I have some error coming. Can I read the error?
Ma'am, please, I'll request all the participants to write the error. Let's say, for example, if I'm writing it, the error will appear here. Like this is the last part will display about the error.
Okay.
So you need to copy that part, and this is for everyone. Don't copy the entire stuff, it will waste my time.
Okay.
Yes, class, hopefully it is completed. I'm moving ahead to the next function. Please, before I move ahead, you need to please. So here what we are doing here, class, is that we are trying to slice the data. Slicing the data will include selecting a specific row, a specific column, and that's how we do. So how to select a specific column? Let's say there's a variable X in the movies underscore df. I want to select few specific columns. One is film, the other one is genre. For this, double square boxes includes that we are having multiple columns. If you want to take single column, then in that case you require only single box. But as soon as it exceeds to more than one column, you have to mention double square box. Please remember this part. That when you want to slice a single column, you can just take a square bracket, single square bracket. But if you want more than two columns, or sorry, more than one column, anything, whether 2, 3, 4, or 10, it will be there in the double square box. Okay, so now after selecting a specific column, we will try to filter the data like a query, or like comparing it with some particular value, like a name. Filter is used to filter the column. Again, it is relevant to the column only. Filter, it is used to filter column using like is an attribute. Filter is a method. Hopefully till here everyone has completed, right? Can you just confirm me on the chat window? And I'll request everyone to please speed up, as you have all the code available in the snipper, so you can help yourself from this, and you can copy the code from there to improve the speed of the code executions. All right. Those who are unable to do the code, like there might be few people who are not from the coding background. What you can do is you can simply read and make notes during the session, and later, as you are getting the recordings, you can use the recording to do the work, the practical work, by watching it again and again. Movies underscore df dot filter. Filter is a method use like equals to, take the value, let's say anything, I'm writing a, suppose. So what is this gonna do is, this will compare where exactly a is available in any one of the column at any of the position. If a is found, it will slice that column. Okay, suppose I want to compare here that, okay, I want to take a column which starts with y, or which has got capital Y into it. See, so like is basically used for slicing only column. Remember this. Now can pass anything here. Okay, it is case sensitive. So if I'll write small a, then it will just take wherever a is available. Let's say in tomatoes, Rotten Tomatoes, a is available. In year, a is available. In profitability, a is available, and in lead studio, a is available. So this is, we're gonna compare all the column names. If a is available, that will be sliced. Otherwise, they won't be there. So I'm gonna write this a little more, one more time. So first one was y, the second one is a. These two examples are more than enough to give you the description about what this. No, it is part of this one. It is part of slicing the data. When it comes to processing, there are so many things you need to do, where it includes from selecting the specific row, selecting the specific column. So these all will be used at, maybe not everything will be used during a session, but maybe sometime later with some other different data set. This is your panda stopping going on, where we are learning about how to work with the data set. Next part, okay, there are many ways of selecting the specific data.
Okay, sir.
If this is giving you trouble, just say selecting the data. We are selecting a specific columns. Slicing means when you are entire column, suppose you have taken an entire bread. Do you eat entire bread whenever you open the entire bread packet? Or maybe let's say you have you bought some fruits. Do you take the entire fruits from there? No. You will just slice it, and you will distribute the slices of the fruits to all the people, all the family members. That is called as slicing. So this is here it is relevant to slicing from the data set. We are not taking the entire column, but we are taking specific columns. Selected film, genre, and year by using method number 1 and method number 2. Method number 1 was double square boxes, and method number 2 is filter. Sorting means arranging the data in an ascending or descending order. Profitability, as you can see, we are having the values. These are your rows. All these values which are available here, they're all selected. Correct? I selected the column. Now remember class, just now I said that if you want to select a single column, you can use single square bracket, okay? So that is what I'm following here. But it is not about only selecting the column, which we have already learned, but it is about sorting the values. Apply here sort underscore values. And they're all arranged in an ascending order now. So when we have taken here ascending equals to false, it means that your data here, which we are taking, this is arranged in a descending order. So let me finish first the topic. This is a movies underscore df Rotten Tomatoes dot sort underscore values. This is your descending order. Change this. Execute. 1 by will be. So suppose if you are applying it to the multiple column, right? The common thing between the first two example was that I have taken one column. I have selected only one column. But if when you are having multiple columns, like entire data set I have taken, right? In this case, pay attention. In this case, we have got multiple columns. Now I want to sort the entire values as the question has been arised. Or I was about to take this. Suppose I want to arrange this by the year, or maybe by the audience score. So in this case, you will take the method sort underscore values by, specify the column, ascending equals to false, that is descending order. Now your entire data set is arranged in a descending order as per the audience score percentage. You can see there is no sequence here. The indexes are shuffled in a descending order as per the audience score percentage. 1D type, that will be more often like a series type. So this is a series data. It's not a data frame. I will give you the output. As you can see, this is a data frame. So what you will get? Movies underscore df. Automatically your data type will come, which is a data frame or something. Which is coming up as data frame from that type function. So there is an inbuilt Python function. This is relevant to Python. Okay. Shape. There are two things which does not have that curly bracket. I remember yesterday I said that there are some sort of a properties are there and there are some sort of a methods are there. So methods require that curly bracket, and if it is a property, then there will be no column. There will be no parenthesis which will be required. Remember this part. That stock underscore data dot columns gives you all the columns which are available. Stock underscore data dot shape, that provides you the number of rows and number of columns. Okay. How many rows are there? 536. How many columns are there? 10. Now suppose I want to take a column and I want to compare it with some value. Let's say, for example, I have an year. Now I want to compare it with, let's say, 2008. Suppose my question demands, I have like, let's say 1 million data set. year-wise. 1 million data set is there year-wise. I don't want to emphasize on any of the year, but I want to only emphasize on 2008. I have whole sort of the movies available, a lot of big data, big size data available for all the movies, assume. And my client demands analysis of only 2008. What does I will do? I will have to first slice the or filter the data for the year 2008. This is the best way to do it. You will just write the operator equal to, and we are comparing here to 2008. Correct? It is returning me true and false. No, but this is about just comparing it, right? This is a logical expression that is giving you true and false, the Boolean output. Movies underscore DF. We need to write once again inside it. So wherever it will give you true, wherever this particular condition is true, that particular row will be selected. That particular row is selected. If you will look towards the year side condition, we have here about the Boolean condition. Now using this Boolean condition, we are just slicing out the data. Okay. Just a second. This is done, class. Understood? What else we are trying to achieve through this? Okay. Those who have completed till here, please respond on the chat window. Hopefully the snipper is helping you out now. Okay. Next part. After the year, what you're saying? Wait a second, I will take the question. By taking genre equals to comment, it is not working. No, it will work. It will work. Wait a second. So now I will just, this was about one value, right? Suppose I want two conditions, condition number 1 and condition number 2. Condition number 1. Now I will write the condition number 2. So this is your filter condition 1, filter condition 2. Again, we will write some value. Let's say movies underscore DF. Somebody is saying that the genre is not working. So let me take the genre value. Comparing it with comedy, let's say. And where I will execute. So there you go. All these movies which you are seeing here. So right now, whatever you are seeing, when you are seeing here that we are comparing the genre equals to comedy or year equals to 2008. So any one of these conditions should be true. I hopefully you understand what is how OR works. Either this or this. So this was about OR part. Next, so this is your OR condition. Right, or the next part. I will just change the condition here. And in the genre, I'm just writing romance now. And I'll put up here and. Now in this case, and operation will be there in between. Now in this case, both conditions should be true. That means your year must be 2008 and genre must be also romance. Both in the slicing using lock and iLock. Now before I am writing, nobody will ask me what is the difference between lock and iLock. Don't waste your energy because anyway I'm going to describe here. So slicing using lock and iLock. After my explanation, if you have not understood, then you can ask. Okay. So there is something called as lock. There is something called as iLock. Both are used for slicing the data. Both are used for slicing the data. Let's say we are having a data frame. In the earlier examples, we have used filter to select the data. We have used how to select a column, and then some condition statements were also used, like this was also there to slice, means to select the specific type of data. But how about if I want to just trim my data? I want few range of columns and few range of rows. Then in that case, lock and iLock are used. Movies_df.lock. The format, syntax, please pay attention. It is using colon, comma, colon. Before comma, slices, rows, and after comma is for slicing columns. In short, we want to select the specific range of rows and a specific range of columns. Somebody's mic is on again. Class, please, I'm requesting again and again that don't make your mic unnecessarily on, otherwise I have to take back the permissions. If you are using mic, if you are attending the session, please attentive. Please don't use mic when I'm speaking about any important topic. It will disturb. So class, please pay attention here that we are having movies_df.lock path, and here we are having the data for slicing the rows and for slicing the column. So first value is for before comma means what? This is the first value. So first colon is denoting your range of rows, and this is for range of columns. By default, the range starts from start value and it goes up to end value. Like in this case, it will start from 0 and it will go up to 76. Okay. Now this is for all the rows and all the columns that I have already said. So don't get confused here. Next part, definitely we will try to slice now. So let us slice here the rows. In the rows, I'm putting up the index value that starts from 10. I want to take it up to 40. Okay. This is for slicing the rows. So after comma, I'm not putting up anything. If I'm not putting up any amount, any value of the column, it will mean that it will select all the columns. And that is what it is going on. We are having the film, we are having the genre value, we are having the lead studio, audience score and percentage, profitability, Rotten Tomatoes, worldwide gross, and year. So we have got movies_df.lock that will have all the rows between 10 to 40 and all the columns. So column is perfect. Let's check it out. Check out our rows part. So 10 to 40. Whatever you have mentioned, that is getting displaced. Just pay attention here. I have mentioned in the log part that row starts from 10 and it should go up to, and the end value is 40. Log. I stands for index values. Indexes. Log was taking the value as it is. In this case, whatever the value you are mentioning, that will be considered as your index value. Let's say we have a start value as 10 and end value as 20. This time, start value is 10, that is fine, but it is not going up to 20, but it is going up to n minus 1. The reason is, this is considered as indexes. So if you are passing the value as an index, then it will show rows from start value to n minus 1. Whatever the start was there, so that was 10 in this case, and n value will be n minus 1. So let's say if you have mentioned 20, it will be 20 minus 1. Clear? That is the one big difference between when you are using log and ilog. I means indexes. Now I have not sliced the column. Let us do the last part in this, and that will be about slicing the column. So in slicing the column, I will mention the range. Let's say 2 to 5, or let's say 2 to 6. So if I write 2 to 6, that means the value will go from 2 to second number index, third number index, fourth number index, and fifth number index. Whatever the last value or end value will be there, that won't be taken, but it will have a range till n minus 1. There we go. This is your index number 2, index value 3, index value 4, index movies underscore new. In this case, we will be selecting movie underscore df. Dot set underscore index, apply your film. What this is gonna do is, movies underscore new. There you go. Movies underscore new equals to movies underscore df dot set underscore index, and talk about the film. A new index, a complete new index has been chosen. Earlier, we were having the default index values, which Python takes 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. Now, in this case, we have specified it. Okay. So sometimes, suppose we have a date time scenario. I will use this type of thing in my in COVID data analysis, where my value will be there available in the date format. So I will try to set the index there. That is the reason why I finished here only. You can understand it with this data set. Movies underscore df dot set underscore index. When you pass film, this basically has customized my index value. Now, wherever you have used earlier the indexes like 10, 11, 12, 13, all these, okay, in log part, in ilog, it will remain as it is. In ilog, there won't be any change. But in log part, you have to specify the row number, row name. Suppose if I'll write here 10:30, it will see that cannot do the slice indexing on index where index values are 10, as it does not recognize. But as soon as I will change it to ilog, it will work. In this case, I'm picking up a column and I'm making them in a form of a plot. There you can see stock underscore data ISE dot plot. So not only pandas can be used for doing all the methodology that is required to prepare your data, starting from read to pre-process to slice to select, but also this can be used for visualization as well. 20 as a width and 10 as a row, 10 as a height. 20 is your width and 10 is your height. Remember that. Default setting was there, whatever, we are just making it like that. This is your first example to convert your data into a plot. Plot means line plot, simple. So this is a simple line plot that we are doing it with a figure size of 20 cross 10. 20 is your width and 10 is your height.
Sir, what is this ISE, the first parameter?
Column name.
Okay.
From stock data, the column name ISE. Now I want to customize this same stock data into something else. So stock data.log. Let's say I want to have a data specific between 100 to 300 and my column name is same, like let's say EU. EU is my second column. So my data has been sliced. I'll apply here plot, but I will also apply a few more stuff. One thing is I'm going to write the fixed size of EU, by the way. Now, what does this denote here? So actually, this is nothing but it is your values of, on y-axis, it is the value. And on the x-axis, it is the row indexes. On the x-axis, it is the index value, index position, 0 to 500 plus, whatever is there. I think some 550 column rows are there. So 0 to whatever the length of the row is there. And on the y-axis, we are seeing the values of EU as it is mentioned in the data set. Sorry, ISE in the data set for this particular section. And here we have the values of EU that is between 100 to 300. So on x-axis, it is row indexes. On y-axis, it is the value of EU. The column name, how many number of rows are present? How many number of rows are present and what is its data type? Every column ISE 536, not null value, and we are having the data type. So that is what the info is. Info also gives you the entries of the rows starting from 0 value to 536. It also gives you how many columns are present. It also gives you the memory uses, like what is the memory size it is taking. Memory means RAM. In RAM, it is taking here about 42 KB. And in the last, we have got the list of the data types. So first, one column which is named as date is of date type, date time, and rest all are float 64 type. That means 9 columns are float and one column is date time.
And sir, in our graph, only we are plotting a ISE, right? Not other column.
In the first graph, it is ISE. In the second graph, it is EU.
Okay, okay. In EU. And what about x-axis?
Row
What we have taken?
indexes,
What x-axis? X-axis?
row indexes.
Row index means what over here?
What are these values called?
Answer from graph, what inference will get over here, and what information is give?
Sir, I have already explained it. I'm repeating again.
Please, sir.
So here in this case, we have got row indexes that is starting from 0 to 550. And on the y-axis, we have got, it is giving you the values. So it is row number versus the value. And in the line plot, because it is a line plot, so obviously you'll get a zigzag. As sometimes the value of EU or ISE, whatever it is increasing, and in the other row, it is decreasing. That's why you're getting a trend. Like in this case, I have sliced the data between 100 to 300. So here the data is not full, but it is sliced between 100 to 300 row. And the y-axis, these are your values. Okay, basic mathematical operation. We know about pandas, where it is used. Reading up the data frames, creating data frames. The question arises why there are many different type of visualization tools are available nowadays. We have got Matplotlib, we have got Seaborn, we have got Plotly, we have got Bouquet. Okay, and easy plots use Matplotlib. If it is a complex plot like violent plot, like density plot, like categorical plot, like relational plot, okay, linear relationship, like point plot, etc. There are so many other plots are there that is majorly showing you the descriptive type of plot. We have taken a new data set which is about Boston. It's a very popular data set in machine learning, especially. Why it is popular? Because it is used for regression part. What is the description about this data set? This data set talks about multiple factors that combines together to give you the price of the house. This MEDV denotes median value of the house, which will depend upon these features. Okay, like the average age, then how far that house is from the local community market, from local workplace. Like in modern cities, what happened? Even in anywhere in the country, if there is any, you can say, advanced smart cities are getting developed, or if you have gone through any smart city or maybe a newly constructed locality, you will feel like there's a proper sections where one type of or one group of things are available. All right, it is not like in the unplanned cities. Unplanned cities has got like the market is also there. The people are also living in that place only. There's a proper shop as well. So business place is at the same place where the residential place is. Correct? There is no segregation, which is an unplanned city. In a planned city, what will happen? That is what I was talking about. That these are your city and these are your various details. Talks about the average tax collections from that particular region to region, and depending upon that, it is giving you the average price of the house in $1,000. It is $1,000, by the way. Apply what? Like where to apply line plot, where to apply pie chart, where to apply all different types of plot. Use line plot for single value called as univariate. When you want to see the trend of or values of univariate data, like what is their trend, if it is increasing or if it is decreasing as your row value is increasing as per the row. Okay, like for example, Sensex. When you take the Sensex reading, so what you are getting it here, let's say for 6 months. This is your row indexes, just telling us that on the x-axis we have got date, and on the y-axis we have got the line. There is different value. So it's date versus value. In this case, we will be having rows versus the value. Okay, this is called as univariate analysis, single value. Uni means one, and variate means single value. Apply plt.plot. plt.plot, we will pick here Boston underscore DF. Pick your age, and there you go. Here in this case, we will be having plt.figure. "20 on the row and 9 on the column. So we have got this entire plot. plt.title. Age line plot. Font size equals to row indexes. plt.y label. What is the name of y label? So on the x-axis, we have got row. On the y-axis, we will be having age. Okay, as they are denoting the value. So maybe you can say this is your age of house. And class, one thing which I will highly recommend to everyone is that do not forget to finish your code at plt.show. It is important. Because maybe right now, in this case, in Jupyter and in Colab, you won't require it necessarily, but in other examples, when in other editor, I mean, if you won't write plt.show, your plot will not appear. plt.show indicates that flush out all the values and convert them into a plot. Clear the memory. Memory in the sense, the RAM. You can increase it by using size or font size. Here also you can apply size or font size. Discrete. Now it is suggested that when you are creating a bar plot, your one of the column must be of discrete type, integer type. Okay, not integer specifically, but if it will be discrete, then it is fine. It will be better to plot a bar plot. Otherwise, go for some other option. Okay, if it is of continuous type on the x as well as y on the continuous side, then don't use it. Okay. So here I'm using x as a discrete. and other variable y must be can be anything. Okay, for y there is no as such a strict rule. This can be anything. X must be discrete and y can be of anything. When I say anything, it means numerical. Fine, then we have got the bar plot, we have got Boston, DF, Zn, dot unique. Now I'm just checking it with unique value. What do you think? Zn is discrete or continuous? How many rows are there? 400. Compare. What do you think? Zn is discrete or continuous?
Discrete.
Limited range. So it will be discrete. Comparing, you need to compare here. Number of rows. Let's take the plot now. Let's just do the plotting. So for plotting, we need to just modify one line. Actually, this is the only line that is affecting your plot. Rest all are for your, you can say, the labels, the title, the description of the plot. Okay, so plt dot bar. First of all, plt dot bar. Plt is matplotlib dot pyplot. So we'll apply here bar. Let's pick up X, Boston underscore DF. Provide here Zn. On x-axis, it is fixed that we have Zn. We don't have anything like y. We have something called as height. It is mentioned at the top as well, height. Height will be given by Boston DF. And we'll pick here age. We can we customize the code? Sorry, color. Yes, we can customize the color. This is the default. Looks so good. This is your default program if you are not making any modification. See, the values are overlapping. Might be there is a possibility, right? There that for same Zn value, you will be having multiple ages. What you are seeing is not the age, but it is max of age. The tower will be basically the maximum value. For each age, for each Zn, what you are seeing is the maximum value of age. Age of the house, obviously. So remember that whenever you are thinking about to plot a bar graph, that will be a plot between a continuous and a discrete value or of limited range data. Okay, it is not to like always true to have saying that it cannot be continuous. It could be continuous, but if suppose there are just 100 values and all of those 100 values are separate, unique, it's okay. You can plot it as long as they're not overlapping. If they're overlapping, then don't use bar. Here you can see most of the values are separated. These started overlapping because I increased the width. With 1 to 60, these are your values. 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 15. 21, 24, 25, 34, 37, 36, 43, 44, 44, 48, 51, 52, or let's say 56. So between 1 to 10. Now there are now I will decide how many bins I want. What is bins? Bins is interval. Number of interval. How many number of intervals are there in between 1 to 6? So between 1 to 60, I want 6 intervals. That will mean that we will be having range between 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, 51 to 60. How many values are there in this? 6. So if you want 6 as bin, this will be the range, which you can modify by changing the bins value. Class, I won't explain the bins again. It will come in the practical. That's why I'm explaining here. You can understand it from this example only. Please repeat here. I won't explain it separately. So just try to understand from here only. Bins equals to 6 decides that what should be the range, how many splits, how many number of intervals you want between your entire range of the data. My entire range of the data is between 1 to 60, and I want 6 intervals. Here are your values. Now, the histogram is a plot between this range and the frequency. So between 1 to 10, how many frequency? What is the frequency? Frequency will be the number of values which are present in between the range. Frequency of each range. So it will be given by 4. Between 11 to 20. Please write your responses. Between 11 to 20, how many values are there? 2. Between 21 to 30, count it. Between 21 to 30. 3. 31 to 40. 41 to 50. That is the plot. That is what the histogram does. It is a univariate, don't forget it. Single value. It is a single value analysis. So that's why I said it will display your spread of the data. Whatever the value you will pick. Now that you know that most of the things is going to remain same, only one line will change. So this line will change. I will modify it. Let me modify plt dot hist. Pass here Boston df medv bins equals to 10. That is default. If I'll not write anything, bins will be equal to 10. Histogram plot. X label is, let's say medv. Taking medv only. Y label is frequency. of med V in an interval. In the particular interval, that's how it is. Let's display it. Frequency of med V and med V, that is your range. 0 to, let's say, whatever is there. This is how your values will be. Now you can just modify it, the range, by changing the bins value. Let's say it is 20. So if we have bins equals to 20, you have a separate. Now the plot is more spread. The plot is more spread. That's how it is.
Sir, can you explain it once more?
Which part? Coding part or theory part?
Sir, theory part, sir.
So in the theory part, we have got values 4, 5, 6, 7, 11, 15, 21, 24, 37, 36, 43. These are your values. So my range of the data is between 4 to 60. Let us assume the range is I'm taking 1 to 60 value. Between 1 to 60 value, I want 6 intervals. Whatever the number of interval you will write, that will be called as bits. And that many number of intervals will be generated as per the number of values, as per the values which are there. So we have got values from 4 to 60, and we have got 6 intervals. We have got 6 intervals, 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 60. That is one part which is merged here on the x-axis. That is denoted by the intervals. So this is that interval 1 to 10, 11 to 20, 21 to 30, 31 to 40, 41 to 50, and 51 to 60. Now how many values are there in between each range? Between 1 to 10, we have got 4. Between 11 to 20, we have got 2. Between 31 to 21 to 30, it is 3. Between 31 to 40, it is 3. Between 41 to 50, it is 4. Between 51 to 60, it is 2. How does we have counted it? Count the values in between the range. Between 1 to 10, 4 values are there, 4, 5, 6, 7. Between 11 to 20, only 2 values are there, 11 and 15. Between 21 to 30, we have got 21, 24, 25, so 3. Between 31 to 40, we have got 34, 37, 36, 3, and so on. Clear? Yes, Tapan, it is necessary. If you won't provide bins, it will take default bins, which will be 10.
Sir,
If you won't take any value, the bins will be 10.
सर बट अगर जैसे किसी इमेज का हिस्टोग्राम प्लॉट करते हैं जैसे मैटलैब में ही प्लॉट करते हैं तो सर वो तो जैसे ग्रे स्केल इमेज है तो एक्स एक्सिस में 0 से 255 तक पिक्सल हो गए और फिर वो ये
सर
बता
वो
दे
है ना 0 to 255 के बीच में पिक्सल।
तो सर वो तो एक रेंज हो गई अपनी पूरी ग्रे स्केल की और फिर अगर जैसे 200 पिक्सल्स मतलब बहुत सारे
सर
हैं
हर पिक्सल की वैल्यू वहां पे आपको जो बिन्स हो रही है ना वो 1 के इक्वल है। सॉरी वहां पे हर बिन्स की वैल्यू 255 है, क्योंकि आप जो रेंज देख रहे हो हर वैल्यू के लिए क्या क्या वैल्यूज आ रही है वही तो प्लॉट किया है ना आपने। Yes, class. Can I have your confirmations if you have finished till here? And finished means you should understand that where to apply this plot. It is important to understand the second part. Coding is leave it. Coding is not mandatory. Understanding the concept is important. So did you understood the concept?
Can you copy the code on a snipper?
It's not done. It's done now. It's already there. This fight might be not there because it will break all these things, but otherwise it is there already. Okay, class, next part. The next part is scatter plot, and because it is a scatter plot, so I'm gonna change my data set. Just like that, there's no compulsion here. I can continue doing all my plot using the same data, but I want to have a freshness here. Scatter plot, bivariate. Okay, bivariate means you'll have an X and you'll have an Y. And this is a relationship plot. It will display here iris_df. What is iris_df file? Shows, so it shows sepal length, sepal width, petal length, and petal width. And there are species, Setosa, virginica, and versicolor. There are species Setosa, virginica, and versicolor. Iris_df, species. Let's see what are the different type of species are there. Iris_df species dot unique. We have got Setosa, we have got versicolor, we have got virginica. These are your three different species are there. Setosa means it's an iris flower. Iris is a flower category, and there are three categories of the same flower we are having available. The same flower category is of three types: Setosa type, versicolor type, and virginica type. These are your three different categories of the flower that is available to us. Now the next part, the next step that we want to understand is that we will plot a scatter plot out of this. To draw a scatter plot, what does we need? We need two numerical values. Let's say sepal length and sepal width. Okay. Hopefully you understand this biological term of sepal and petals of a flower. So we have got PLT dot scatter. X-axis is iris_df, sepal length, Y value iris_df, sepal length and petal length. Draw the plot. What is the relationship you can understand from here? It's a relationship type of plot, right? Here is your plot. If your sepal length is increasing, your petal length is also increasing. We have taken here all these plots, and that's how the relationship plot will be created. Okay, you need to provide here the column names. Now, let's try to introduce the same type of thing with SNS C-bond. Or maybe what I want to do is I want to merge two separate plots in one. One is sepal length versus petal length. And I want to take sepal length versus petal width. Correct? So now what happens when you try to merge two plots in one? You need some more informations, like you need color, then you need label. Label is petal length. Label will only appear when you apply plt.legend. If you will apply plt.legend, there you can see petal length, petal width. So no legend, no label. Both are required if you want this type of thing called as legend or called as labeling. You need the label name and you need the method called as plt.legend. That's about how to create two plots in one. Okay. If you have two line plot, if you have two scatter plot, if you have two histogram, if you want to plot two different bar plots, doesn't matter. Just repeat the plot graph. Next, SNS dot scatter plot. Now the same plot we can do with the scatter C-bond as well. In this case, should we use Y label? Yes, why not? Petal length and petal width, both you can mention, as I mentioned here, saying that we have got. So for that purpose, you can leave. Otherwise, you can remove it as well. Doesn't matter. Because anyway, we are using the label part. So sepal length versus petal length and sepal length versus petal width, that is also fine without the presence of Y label. Okay, next come is scatter plot, a very important part. That is a format that we use in C-bond. Generally, in X, you just provide the column name. In C-bond, Q equals to species. What I'm writing here is actually affecting us in a different way. It's giving us the gradient shades, correct? And palette. Palette is what the keyword or what your attribute is, which is taking up these names. Now, these are not just like a name, but they are part of your color mapping. Please just pay attention here to your color map. In the color mapping of Matplotlib, we have got varieties of color maps. These are the names that I have to use. Like as you can see, I have used Viridis, I used Magma. You can use Plasma as well. All these left-hand side name you can apply to palette, or somewhere it is also there by the name of color map or C-map. Like Plasma, if I want to take Plasma, I can take Plasma. Sorry, the name was wrong. If you will make mistake, it will give you that. This is plasma. You can have magma, you can have viridis. All these are your color shades, gradient shade. Next part. Color names. Suppose I'm using deep pink. I'm using color name like deep pink. I'm using violet. I'm using purple. In spite of using the default settings, I'm customizing the code. I'm customizing the colors. From here, you can take the colors. These are two useful. Hue is basically categorizing your color as per the species to denote where are setosa, where are versicolor residing, and where is setosa, where is virginica, and where is versicolor. Depending upon the hue settings, you'll get all the color options. Basically taking any categorical value which will categorize your data to specify that where exactly those plots reside. Like in this data set, it is difficult to make this type of graph. We have to categorize, we have to do some other type of like slicing, we have to do the filter part. You need to filter here the data as per their category. But here it is pretty simple. You have to just write hue and automatically data will get split into 3 sections. And using the color, it will highlight it where those 3 categories of the species are there in your histogram. When you want to display actually about the spread of the data, you need 2 type of plot, the density as well as the histogram. So density plot is used for showing the spread of the data using SNS.dist plot.
Density plot and probability density both are same.
Yes, that is what I mean. Probability density function, just plot it. PLD.style .use. I have not used it this part yet. I'm going to use it now. What is that? If you will look around, all these images have one thing common, white background. It is a default setting. But can we have not any other shade? Yes, we can have. There are 2 methods. One pld.style.use, and you can provide here the names. One of the name is ggplot that I personally use a lot. And here is your plot. Now I need the figure size. There you go. This is your probability density function plot. If you know about it, that by looking into it, you will get an idea whether the data is normally distributed or your data is not or is skewed. If your data is skewed or if your data is normally distributed, what is the spread? That is actually displayed by density plot or distribution plot.